Hey guys, and welcome to another PvP guide for rogues. I'm doing this guide because of a request from a comment in one of my other videos asking if I could make a guide about a particular spec that he heard was quite good. So the spec is 51 Assassin, 25 Riftstalker and 0 Marksman. So instantly this spec will be damaging from the 51 points in Assassin, but will also be a lot more tanky than the 61 Assassin spec that I did a few videos ago, just because we have 25 points in Riftstalker, and Riftstalker is generally a tanking soul. So I'll just leave this open for you for a few seconds so that you can take note, and remember you can pause the video at any time to take note of anything that I say. So now you know what the spec is, I'll go through the abilities that you need to use and also the rotation for when you want to get into a fight. And remember that this is a single target only spec, so don't go running into the middle of a massive group unless you want to die. The spec is solely for stealthing through their team and destroying their healers at the back. But anyways, the abilities. As you can see, I use two macros assigned to my first two buttons here. These are just to make things a lot easier, and they tend to increase your DPS as you can just spam a couple of buttons instead of trying to figure out where all your buttons are on your hotbar. So I'll go through those macros in a minute. But your other abilities that you have are Final Blow, which is a finisher. I just like to have it on number 3 because it's appropriate for there. Number 4, which reduces damage taken by 30%. Another finisher, which will give you additional armor. And your third finisher, which is a bleed over time called Impale. I then have Swift Shot, Shadow Shift, and on the double. Swift Shot is when your opponent is running away and you can't quite catch up to them, so you just need to keep on dealing damage using this. Shadow Shift is to either get away or keep up with your opponent, and the same with on the double. Why do I have two Shadow Shifts? I don't know. But we then have Enduring Brew, which is, well, it's going to restore a small amount of your HP, which can be useful at times. Poison Gas, which will confuse all nearby enemies for 6 seconds or until damaged. And then the same with Blinding Power, but it only works for one target, but lasts for 10 seconds instead. We then have two abilities to get you into stealth. One is called Stealth, and the other is called Slip Away. Slip Away can be used during a fight, and will prevent damage from breaking stealth for 3 seconds. So once you are stealthed, we have some extra abilities. We have Hidden Veil, which will delay any any damage taken, any damage that is dealt to you during stealth won't break your stealth for 15 seconds. Elusiveness, which will reduce the chance of being detected, so the opponents will have less chance of seeing you whilst you're walking around them. I also like to have the heal on here because it can be quite useful, and also the Shadow Shift. You then have 3 abilities that you can use while stealthed. Assassinate, which will deal some damage, ignores armor, and only is usable from behind, and this will give you 2 combo points, so that's quite good. Paralyzing Stroke, which is probably my favourite, which will deal less damage, but will stun the opponent for 4 seconds, which can be very useful. And then Jagged Stroke, which is a bleed over 10 seconds, and all 3 of these give you 2 combo points. So the 2 macros that we use are, let me just find them. Okay, we have Tank Movement. You can name this to whatever you want. I just have the same one throughout because I also use this on my tank spec. But we just want the 3 jumps that are available to us from this spec. All 3 of these will jump to your opponent, and if you have Planar Reversal active, you will teleport behind them. So there's the first macro, and then the second macro is, I've called it Rift Ass Builder. So you can copy this if you want. Some of you may want to change it, just in case you don't like some of it in here. I also have Swift Shot in here, so you don't necessarily have to have Swift Shot here, because if they're at range you can just keep spamming the number 2, and Swift Shot will work. will hit them basically. So there's the 2 macros that you want to use. I have them on both number 1 and number 2 on my hotbar, just because I find that the easiest way basically. We also have 5 buffs that we can use. Obviously planar reversal, which is what I just went through. We also have Stalker phase, which will increase your damage and healing done, and will also increase your damage and healing done by an additional 15% after plane shifting for 10 seconds, which is very nice. Plane bound resonance, which will increase endurance by 138, that's quite a lot. And then you have your 2 weapon poison buffs, whatever you want to call them. Enfeebling poison, which will grant weapon ability attacks a 20%, grants weapon ability attacks a 20% chance to deal an additional 836 water damage and cause the enemy to deal 10% less damage to the rogue. Yeah, that makes sense. I just didn't think it did for a second. And then leeching poison, which will again do the same thing, but will also restore 261 health. Well, for me, that's how much it heals. It will restore a small amount of health to me, which is quite nice. So now for the rotation. Pretty much always begin while stealthed, just because you can get extra damage out before they even see you, and can even start attacking you. So open up with any of these 3 abilities, so Assassinate, Paralyzing Strike, or Jagged Strike. I prefer Paralyzing Strike just because it stuns for 4 seconds. So let's have a quick example. Obviously this isn't going to get stunned, but I'll do an example of my rotation. So after you've used Paralyzing Strike or whatever one, use your first macro to get another 2 combo points, and then hit your number 2 macro once to get the 5th combo point. So I'll just show you this. So I'm going to use Paralyzing Strike. Oh sorry, I already have points. Derp. Let's start that again. Just get out of combat. Completely forgot about that. Okay, let's try that again. So I'm on no combo points. We're going to hit Paralyzing Strike, number 1 macro. Oh, so we have 3. Oh, that's interesting. Maybe it's something I haven't even read. Okay, there's even less effort then. The rotation is Stealth into Paralyzing Strike, your number 1 macro, and then if you have 4 points, use your number 2 macro once so that you bring it up to 5, but I think this is just gonna, yeah, this is just gonna give me 5 instantly. So once you've built up those first 5 combo points, I like to start with Impale to get the bleed over time out, because then you can just deal you'll be dealing more damage over time basically. So after this, I would hit my jump macro again for another 2 points, activate Planar Refuge, and then keep spamming the second macro until 5 combo points, and then depending on the enemy's HP, use either Final Blow if they are on low HP, or Guarded Steel if they are on slightly more. And always keep your 3rd jump from your first macro available, just so you can jump on top of them if they have any getaway abilities. So let's just go through the whole rotation in one clip. Okay, so quite simple really. It may take a bit of time to get used to, but quite simple. So that's the basic rotation, and after that just keep building up finishers, etc, etc. You could also use Slip Away to become stealthed, and then stun them for 4 seconds again if you wanted, or the other 2 abilities whilst you're stealthed. But this it does require quite good timing and quite a bit of skill to perfect it. So basically this build just needs a lot of practice to perfect. And that's it for this guide today. Hopefully you found this interesting, and hopefully it has helped in some way, especially the guy that requested this video. I feel like I rambled a bit at times, but hey, just leave any constructive criticism below and I would be very grateful, just so I can make future videos better quality. Also, if you do enjoy any of my videos, please leave a like below and subscribe if you want to see those future uploads. And as always, thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll see some of you next time.